Hey guys, Dark Humility here with a Bladeson Uber guide to show you guys how to safely kill Ubers with a Bladeson. This is actually the first Uber guide I've made in multiple seasons now. I've done old school ones, the Zealer, I did Javzon as well. I think I've also shown off some weird ones like Strafe. I think I've shown the standard Fury Druid as well. Which used to be a bit more meta. Now I'd say Maul Druid is probably a bit more meta because they nerfed Fury quite a bit. But it doesn't really matter because today we have arguably the strongest Uber killer in the game in Season 6. Now this may get nerfed, of course, next season. I actually would be surprised if it doesn't. Blade Sentinel is absolutely insane. And we'll be using my hardcore solo self-found sins. I didn't even have to trade for these items. You could even farm them yourself. It might take a while to farm for some of these, but I don't know. If you check out my PD2 arcane farming guide, you'll probably be fine. Anyway, we'll go over the stats, skills, stats, skills, mercenary, and gear, and show you guys what is essential to killing them fast and effectively without too much risk to your character. Of course, on softcore, it's even more doable. It's just that you can't die too often, and you can't make your character too squishy. But yeah, we'll definitely show you guys how that all works, though. Anyway, so my level 91 hardcore solo self-found assassin is 91. Let's see, actually, do I have the right thing on the screen right now? I do not, so I'm going to take that off. Anyway, we have enough strength to wear my gear. We have enough dex to get maximum block. That dex also helps out with attack rating. Attack rating is really good, so you can actually hit them, which is nice. Defense isn't super important with the max block. The rest of the points go into vitality. And as you can see, our res is very good. One of the items we have is actually overstacking our res, which is always a good idea against Uber bosses if you can. Getting a certain max res, getting a certain absorb is definitely not a bad idea. Of course, we'll talk about that a bit more against which bosses and how to absorb them and whatnot. It's very important, though, that you do that. Anyway, it definitely helps having more than overstacked fire res, helps having overstacked light res, and cold res would also help as well, but just having more than maximum is good too, so you prevent dying to conviction and lower resist. Lower resist on Bale is particularly, in my opinion, the most dangerous of the Ubers in Project Diablo 2 because his cold wave is insanely strong, and you will die to that. If he lower reses you and you have 0 cold res, it will probably kill you very fast. So we want to be careful about that. Poison res is just max so that, I don't die to Lilith or something while farming many Ubers. So that's always a thing. But anyway, so we have 40% damage reduction as well. Damage reduction is really good for farming the mini Ubers particularly, but it is also good against certain attacks from the Ubers. Damage reduction in general just makes you really tanky. It's also a very good stat to have. Definitely want north of like 30%, I would say, for most Uber encounters, so that's always good. Faster hit recovery is important, but since we have maximum block, it's also not insane. There are builds you can kill these on without maximum block, as I think I've shown in previous seasons. But this particular character can be very tanky in a standard Uber scenario with maximum block, so that's nice. This character is also like insanely tanky against something like Uber Ancients as well, so this particular build and setup would work very well against it. I currently don't have the materials for those to do that yet, but just gonna have to take my word for it, I guess. Deadly Strike is really, really strong. Deadly Strike makes Blade Sentinel and Blade Fury very powerful. In general, we're gonna mostly be using Blade Sentinel here, though, because this whole build is kind of centered around making that as powerful as possible. And Magic Find is not important when farming Uber bosses, as our goal is to get a Hellfire Torch, which is this thing. So far I've only found one of these in my hardcore solo self-found, and it's a nice stat stick with maximum vitality. Also the res is very helpful, so really good stuff. And yeah, okay, let's talk about our skills a bit though. So skills, we've got maximum Blade Sentinel, Fury, and Shield. These are all synergies. Blade Shield, of course, will help you apply damage from your weapon, which means you're able to also get on strike effects like life leech and other things. This could be more effective, particularly if I get like amp on striking somewhere on my gear. I don't currently have it, but it's pretty effective. This is what you, by the way, would use Innocence for on the Mercenary, so that you can also get amp on striking effects and battle cry as well more effectively, so that's always nice. Dragon Flight's just good for moving around, so that's really good. Gonna want to move around as much as possible. And then just gonna want that mobility, of course. And then we also max out Claw and Dagger Mastery for damage. So long as you're using a Claw or Dagger for Blade Fury, this needs to be maxed out. If you're using Reaper's Toll though on softcore or hardcore or whatever, you can ignore this part, as that is not a Claw or Dagger. Reaper's Toll is really insane for getting that amp on them quickly, which can kill them insanely fast as well. Only have 1 point burst of speed because I have enough attack speed on my gear, but if you're lacking attack speed on your gear, you'd put more attack points into this until you're hitting the max frame, which is down here. You can see when I put on my burst of speed, I have max attack speed. Just barely though, so at 39 we have 40, so that's fine. We're going to be using burst of speed for Ubers, because you are going to want it to dodge attacks or just make it difficult in general for them to lock you down and do too much damage to you. Assassins can be very fast, and that is probably one of their greatest assets for fighting bosses particularly, and for farming Lord Destruction areas before you find farm maps, I mean. We also got 1 point to Venom. Venom, of course, is adding a little bit of extra damage. And 1 point of Fade if we want to have a bit more res to make ourselves tankier. But these 1-pointers are kind of just helpful to potentially have, not super important. Cloak of Shadows can actually lower enemy defenses, so if you have like lack attack rating, you can use this periodically to hit the bosses a bit more. Not super important for me to use it, but you could use it though. It also helps against things like skeletons firing at you and whatnot. And of course you also have Shadow Warrior. Now I put a lot of points into this because in Season 11, your Shadow Warrior will mimic your ability really well, and it will mimic your damage and everything. So we have 11k Blade Sentinel, we have 15k Blade Fury. So Blade Fury, the Shadow doesn't do very well. Also, Blade Fury is better against tons of targets, not like one target like Blade Sentinel. Blade Sentinel is definitely the better thing against a single target. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, anyway. I also have, yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess, for the skills. But making this tankier, though, is good, though, because they're going to help you out with your damage quite a bit. It's actually kind of absurd. If I had like a really strong Whispering Mirage, I'd probably use it instead of my current weapon, so I could get 2 shadows killing them, and then maybe use my current shield for some tankiness and whatnot. But I don't know, maybe I could use 2 of them. I only found 1 Whispering Mirage, which is the new weapon that allows you to cast additional Shadow Warriors, but I bricked it, so not using it on this hardcore solo self-found, but that's okay. There's actually a lot of things that are going to work really well here, though. You can use a Fury weapon. Jade Talon is pretty good for hardcore because you get a lot of all-res on it, so you get all-res on a weapon, so that's really nice. But you could use like all kinds of weapons, really. Obviously an elite like amp on striking, like high enhanced damage weapon with like 5 skills to Blade Fury or Blade Sentinel would be insane here. Plus skills in general and enhanced damage are the keys to getting the damage so high. Plus skills are actually a lot more effective than you might think. So just having plus skills like on the Steel Shade, for instance, are good. You know, plus skill on the High Lords. If I had plus skills on the weapon as well, that'd be really big. But you could craft weapons, you could get rare weapons. You could get all kinds of weapons. There's, like I said, Whispering Mirage would work pretty well. Whispering Mirage also has negative to enemy Fizz res, which is really good. And then you can make use of multiple shadows. There's a lot of things you can do. As long as the weapon has pretty high ED, you can see I have 400 ED from jewels in here. It's not bad. You could get it more though. And obviously the other stats on it are very nice as well. But since I did corrupt this 3 sockets, it's pretty good. Also, the block rate is good as well, because assassins with a 32 plus block rate do very well. And that's very good in general. I actually crafted this. This thing's nice. This thing is a DR, enhanced damage, 3-socketed corrupted safety armor. It's basically like a fortitude, but instead of giving me like some extra life and maximum light res, it also gives me the opportunity to have all these other stats from the jewels on top of the fact that I have 19% physical damage reduction. It's just going to make us way tankier. It's like kind of like a hybrid between a shaft stop and a fortitude, and this is kind of what you're looking for. If you can get it, the damage and survivability ends up being really good. Steel Shade, of course, for hardcore, this is going to be pretty good, and also for our current approach, which is to get max block using a Phoenix Shield. Phoenix Shield doesn't get a lot of chance to block, or if it does, it's an Aegis, and it costs a gazillion strength. Since putting stats into strength and dex both give damage, though, dex also gives attack rating, so it's actually better for us to use the lower strength shield with the less chance to block, and then just to increase the chance to block using a Steel Shade. And those 2 skills actually give us a lot of damage. They are giving us a lot of damage. You can kind of see that here, actually. Plus skills help out Blade Fury and Sentinel a lot. I'm really trying to emphasize that the plus skills are no joke. On your offhand, you could use like a 7 skill weapon if you like corrupt a certain thing. Maybe craft like a claw and get 7 skills on it. That'd be really insane. Because 7 to Blade Fury would be nice, and then you could use claw block or weapon block, sorry. And then you could block that way. Instead, I'm just going to use standard block though, so I put enough to get standard block with block chance on that, and also with just this 47%. Assassin shields luckily have a bit more chance to block than a lot of other ones, so it's not a big deal. And also you get a pretty high amount of life here, which is nice. You get maximum light res, maximum fire res, which is great against Ubers. You get life, and of course 281% enhanced damage. Can't forget about that. Look at that damage increase. It's pretty massive. Definitely a lot of plus skills would be even higher than that, but this also has redemption, which also is good for sustain. So overall, like, Phoenix is a great choice. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention one weapon, which is Stalker's Coal, and Stalker's Coal has Deadly Strike as well. Stalker's Coal even has Dragonflight cooldown reduction, which would be better in maps when you're using Blade Fury. But here we're talking about mainly Blade Sentinel as a single target and boss killer, but we have both. It's the same build. But, you know, we have High Lords for Deadly Strike, of course. We have the attack speed here. We have attack speed here as well. Damage to demons is great, of course, against Ubers. And I even rolled Deadly Strike on a high damage to demon ones, which is pretty awesome. Once again, this is all solo self-found, so I had to have rolled any of this. You'll notice this is kind of a sin in PD2. I have not corrupted my Steel Shade. I've only found one. If I find another one, I will definitely be doing that. But it's such a useful item that I didn't want to didn't want to risk it getting absolutely wrecked there. So yeah, because without that it'd be pretty hard to get max block on Phoenix, or I'd have to use like Titan's Grip or something, and that'd lower my damage quite a bit. I do have a pretty good Titan's Grip though. I have like a enhanced damage one, but we don't have to use that though. Anyway, we have Bolcathus Ring, which is life. We got light res, AR, enhanced damage, PDR. That thing is pretty strong. And then we have String of Ears, and we have PDR Ravenfrost. This is our Kanapi Frozen. This also gives us Cold Absorb, which is really good against Bale's Nova attack, and it gives us a lot of attack rating and dex for max block, so it's got pretty much everything we want on it. And the stacking the light res, damage, AR, life, and more physical damage reduction on this is good. We also have some ring swap outs we can use for different bosses. Against Bale, for instance, it's possibly more effective for us to use Nature's Peace. You can also get Oak Sage as well, which is nice. And we can swap out for more cold res for Bale, and then we have Thunder Gods, which I slap on real quick for Mephisto, so his lightning can't do that much damage, just in case he somehow gets me with it. You never know. And then, yeah, and then of course, we haven't found Gore Riders, but if I did, I'd probably use them over War Travs. But the added damage is nice, so that's a good stat here. Also gives strength and vitality. MF doesn't do anything here, but I actually haven't found Gore Riders. I don't know. I've done a lot of farming, haven't found it, so that's how that goes, I suppose. They have a Call to Arms, not super impressive, but we have Battle Command. Since our Mercenary has Bow, which I'll go over our Mercenary after the gear, I guess, here. I'll show you. He's got Bow, he's got Battle Cry, and he has Amp, so he's going to help us lower the physical res of the Ubers as much as possible. He's also incredibly tanky, so I've made him really tough to kill. So if I pop him Jubes here and there, he shouldn't actually die to the Uber bosses, but yeah, he can. I mean, obviously they have bonus damage against the Mercenary, so he's definitely not invincible, which is nice. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to build this for sure. Life Leech is helpful on Blade Fury, not so much Sentinel, but once again, physical damage reduction on this. I'd say Dungos would be better. I have not found Dungos though, so once again, kind of limited in some of our build options. Kind of just depends on what I've found, which, you know, it is what it is. All our charms are dedicated to res. We do have 3 trap GCs though that I found in Arcane Sanctuary, including one with faster run walk. So that's good. And then we have some max damage life charms, which help with the damage a little bit. More res and just res life charms. And then of course the first torch that we found in the first kill. So just to see if we can do it. We did it. It was a little sketchy with the amount of health we had before, but it's nothing too big of a deal though. As you can see though, my own bow is a lot weaker than his bow. Definitely Battle Order's Whirlwind Mercenary is great to have in hardcore, especially before you have CTA, but even with CTA, his bow is very, very strong. You can see it lowered our health though when I bowed with my own though. It's pretty bad. I use this for amplify damage on striking on this type of Mercenary. This would be really good. Ideally, we'd actually have an Innocence armor, which requires a Zodran, and then I could have this just procced when he gets near something with Whirlwind. And then I'd even have, whatchamacallit, Cyclopean Roar for Battle Cry on striking as well. I have not found that one, and I'm missing a Cham for Innocence, so those two things aren't a thing yet. We have, of course, attack speed on him, though, so that when he isn't whirlwinding, he still has high of a chance to cast Amp as possible. He just casts Battle Cry himself as well, so don't really need Cyclopean Roar, it just helps. We have something here, once again, another one of these armors. I'm telling you, man, you gotta craft these armors, they're really good. More physical damage reduction, really high all res, so this stacked all res actually makes him capable of tanking Uber bosses, which is pretty cool, even when they put on like lower resist or conviction, which is nice. And we have DR on him, and they have DR on him, and we have more attack speed, damage to demons. Those things all help. Some life there, some DR. This thing is for maximum fire res, so Diablo doesn't kill him as easily, and that's basically it, honestly. Some things, once again, aren't corrupted because they're pretty key to the build, and I found other versions of them and I bricked them, so I don't want to brick all of them. So we'll see what we can do, right? Anyway, he casts Battle Cry himself, he has Amp. Those both massively increase physical damage that we can do to the monsters. Since Ubers do have a lot of resistances, lowering their res is pretty important no matter what build you do. It definitely massively increases the amount of damage you can do to them. Yeah, gear that reported for wearing gear that does not in fact exist. Yeah, for sure. Alright, so what we're gonna do here is we are going to, let's see, we're gonna demo what we can do here. We'll show you guys how this works. So this setup, this first setup here, I think should work pretty well. It's like my highest DR setup, which is good for just traversing these dangerous mini Uber areas, particularly Lilith's Matron's Den. So that's what we're going to focus on here. And let's see if I can get him to rebow. Yeah, so after I give him the skill from Battle Command, which gives me a lot of enhanced damage, helps my damage a lot, he can actually get a higher level bow. Plus skills do affect mercenaries if you don't know, so I actually get a bit more life out of that. That's really cool. Alright, so we're going to make a Forgotten Sands portal, and we're going to get to it. Let's see where we go, find his ass here. So, as you can see here, I have Sentinel, I have Fury, you know, I can clear whatever I want. Oh, there he is. Here's the big guy. Mercenary sometimes acts weird around Duriel, I don't know why. There we go, so you got both Battle Cry and Amp on him. And damage is pretty insane. And as you can see, the warrior has enough plus skills to actually take some hits. And honestly, I didn't even have to recast him that time. I did the first time, so just shows you that how easy and safe this can be. And obviously with 2 Shadow Warriors, like I said, I think with Whispering Mirage, Ubers were like kind of a joke because you could probably have like 2 or 3 Shadows and you could probably take him down, but since I don't have any of those and have to improvise once again, that's pretty good. Alright, the next one here is Matron's Den. Oh boy, this is the dangerous one. Yeah, we're gonna have to watch the damage from those witches. So even though we have a lot of DR, when we get amped, those things really fucking hit super hard. So, and another thing, Lilith could potentially one-shot us when amped. So really gonna have to watch that. Let's see. That's currently actually why I have max poison res, mostly because of her. You could definitely wear something like Sandstorm Tracks. You could probably wear a lot of things, honestly. They could work pretty well. And they would do just fine. They would do just fine. Definitely the hardest organ boss. Yeah, this is the most dangerous one. And if you guys don't know, on PD2 Season 11 now, you actually have to do all of them. So I'm just gonna feed my merc some juice. And there you go. Fed him some juice. If you don't know how to feed your merc juice fast, just yeah. Just shift and the button, the potion button. And there you go. Not too bad, right? Down quick, man. Down quick, yeah. So, once again, I mean, like I said, I didn't even trade for any of this. This stuff is not even the best gear you could use. That's why I mentioned a bunch of other options. I mean, there's soul drainers for your gloves. There's just so many things. Soul drainers are good too, because the negative physical res is a great stat. Once again, on everything. You might rather have Veil of Steel, for instance, on the helmet. That's definitely possible for more enhanced damage. If you don't care about block, like if you're on the software, I don't even know if I'd go max block, honestly, because most of the time. But yeah, I mean, that could be fatal in Matron's Den not to have max block, though. I've seen so many people that got great Uber killing builds, and then they farm Lilith, and they die in the Matron's Den just from ordinary monsters because of how dangerous they are. So, might want to be careful. want to be very, very careful. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention the Uber items that could be good. I mean, I'm assuming if you have those items, you probably already mastered the game. You probably don't need to watch a guide like this. We're being honest, honestly. I don't know where His Majesty is here. Izzy can be dangerous because of the curses that the other monsters can cast around him. I'd be worried of fighting him straight up cursed, because in terms of like raw physical damage, he actually does more than Lilith. Lilith does a ton of poison damage on top of that, of course, but also auras are obviously, you know, it's pretty dangerous stuff. So that's no good. Yeah, Aiden's Scar drops from Diablo clone, yeah. So if I do Fury, for instance, you can see that I can still kill Izzy pretty fast with Fury, but it takes a lot longer. Sentinel is way stronger, as you can see. And, yeah. Who drops Aiden's Scar? Yeah, it's Diablo clone. Aiden's Scar, you know, it's a good weapon. But you can craft it, even like random rare weapons can be good. I definitely recommend picking up a lot of like rare claws. But like I said, plus skills actually increase damage a lot more than you would think. So ideally like a claw with like a lot of plus skills, really high ED on amp on striking would be insane. That's like one of the reasons why a lot of people just be using Reaper's Toll, because it's so easy. Reaper's Toll doesn't get any of the damage multipliers from Claw's Dagger Mastery, so it has a lot of weaknesses. But it gives such a consistent amp, and if you had like a consistent amp anywhere else in the build, that can have the same effect. So it's potentially really good. Alright, anyways, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go fight the Uber bosses. So I don't really want max poison res anymore. I'm gonna exchange that for some life. And I guess depending on which one we fight first, I'm gonna swap out some gear. And that's how we're gonna do it. Let's see here. It's good you don't need a key anymore. Okay. Admins can also work, yeah. So this is the Uber arena, so I always recommend this in all my Uber bosses guides, but make sure that for the Ubers, do not fight them all in a group. You will die, okay? And you'll die several times and possibly not be able to re-enter the area. Even on softcore, you only get 3 portals, so you can't be constantly re-entering the area. Now in hardcore, you get those portals too, but you'd have to TP. You have to go back to town and whatnot. But this is Uber Tristram now, so we're gonna really make sure we don't fight them all at once. It's a big mistake. I guess we're gonna leash Diablo, I guess. I don't know, Diablo seems to be the easiest one to leash lately. Okay. But at any rate, let's get Diablo. Let's see if we can get him isolated. Try to pull one at a time. And definitely, whenever you do not fight monsters with both lower resist and conviction on you. Because no matter how much res you have, as you can see, I stacked my res a lot, particularly lightning and cold, so I don't die to Mephisto and Bale. Obviously though, the max res stats though, Well. Well, we lost the Mercenary. RIP. Yeah, Headhunter's Glory Shield would be great for that too. That's a good point. Alright, so we're going to make one portal here because I lost my Mercenary once. Losing the Mercenary isn't a death sentence, but it kind of sucks. You used to have to just be able to do the rest of the Ubers without it, if you guys remember previous seasons. But, yeah. Still a thing, though. Can't wait till you have extra money so you don't have to do ads anymore. Oh, yeah, dude. I feel it. Chat is suffering due to ads. It is what it is. Alright, so Diablo, as you can see, went down pretty fast. But, you know, we have max block, which is really good for his laser. His laser actually has blockable frames, believe it or not. Also, DR is really good against his laser, too. So is maximum light res, and so is a bunch of other stuff. So, it does like a combination of lightning and physical damage, and it has blockable frames, so keep that in mind. Also, we do have Fire Sorb, and I had both a Dwarf Star and Steel Shade on, so it really doesn't get better for cheap defense than this against D-Clone. He really couldn't do a lot of damage to us. Now, the problem, though, is that while it is easy to get pretty cheap defenses against D-Clone, some of the other ones are tougher. So, Mephisto, you can also get some pretty cheap defenses against. You know, it's like I said, the main thing is Conviction lowers all of your res 50, and Bales lowers all of your res 75. And you definitely don't want to fight Mephisto on top of Bale. That's the biggest thing. Uh-oh, it looks like Bale found us too. So that's actually really dangerous. We might just be able to fight Bale. I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah. You know what? I might just fight Bale there. And have that go. Wait, did I bow myself? Why is my HP so shit? Oh, that's not good. Well, whatever. Where's Bale at? Let's see. So you can see that my cold res is still 77. I put on Nature's Peace to make myself a little tankier. Wait, let me see something actually. Yeah, I can also make myself tankier with Oak Sage. But you can see with 77 res and whatnot, it's not that bad. And we got the clone. So, I could have had 75 cold res there and it would have still been fine, but the real key is stacking the cold res. Really want to emphasize that. If you don't stack that, with this much HP, he will kill you. If you only have max cold res and no stacked, you'll have 0 cold res and you'll die. It's that simple. I don't really know how to be more, upfront than that. But that's just how it is. Now we're going to put this back on so that we have our stacked res for Mephisto. And Mephisto's the last one. I'm going to put T-Gods on as well. And I actually have 87 light res against him. Now that 87 on top of 137, because that's 50 additional light res, so that Conviction will drop it down to 87. He's not going to have a great chance of killing us like this. We only have 28 DR, but we're also not melee moding him. We're using the Shadow and we're using the Mercenary. So those things are definitely pretty important. I can take off the absurd amount of cold res though, and I could put back on the life if I want. So, as you can see, I have all these like extra tools I can swap out here just to make it easier. And you can see now I have 1,816 life, so it's pretty good, right? Alright, that was his lightning attack right there, by the way. Notice it didn't do that much to us, just because we have so much lightning res. And there you go. And in Season 11, additionally, another new thing for Ubers, if you're not aware, is you also are guaranteed a Black Soulstone after killing the last one. And there you have it. We had to use one portal to get the Merc back, because I didn't juve him in time. To be fair, Diablo, I think, is the most threatening against mercenaries, just in general. His attacks are very devastating to the mercenary. And you could make the mercenary a little tankier with like max light res in some way as well. I know I stacked his res a bunch. You can kind of see that as well. He's not stacked to have max light res against Mephisto, but usually that's okay for the Merc because he has so much health. But yeah, against Diablo it's kind of a problem a bit. Because like Diablo, like that's why I put the extra fire res on him, because yeah. He likes to die. If you had like Guardian Angel, it'd be really good to put on the Mercenary too, and he probably wouldn't die as often. It's not as essential as it used to be though. They have lightened up how ridiculous the Ubers are compared to how they used to be. But yeah, the Black Soulstone is an Uber map to do Diablo clone, which is how you get Annie in this mod if you're not aware. We actually do have it enough for one set of those, so I could actually make one of those, but we don't have a build currently that can do it. I'd have to modify this build a lot, and then maybe I could do it, but it's super dangerous, even tier 0. And yeah, but we're not going over Diablo clone in this guide though, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that mini guide and demo here of the Blade Sin, clearing the many Ubers and the Uber boss. Now let's see what we got in terms of a torch. Let's have chat guess what the torch is as well. Chat, guess what the torch is. Let's get some guesses in the chat here. This is our second torch on the Hardcore Solo Self-Found. Let's see what we got here. So, as you can see though, yeah, so for cold res, once again, you want to stack it. You want to stack the cold res at least 75 higher, and ideally max cold res would help against Bale. Lightning for Mephisto, you need to stack it 50 higher, and ideally, you know, you stack it in. I am stacking it for Mephisto because Mephisto's attack could be way more devastating with only 75 res than even Bale's is, and Bale's is still pretty dangerous. So there's that. Fire res is overstacked too, which is great for Diablo. So is Fire Sorb. Diablo's main damage is dangerous as fire, but his lightning beam is also dangerous, particularly if you don't have max block or DR, as it is half physical damage, half lightning, and it has blockable frames. So it's a good summary for how to understand how to do that. And as you can see, even on hardcore, this character can remain relatively safe, particularly with only just one shadow and cord. I think you might have noticed that my shadow is doing an ass load of damage as well with Blade Sentinel. And if you had multiple shadows using Whispering Mirage, it's also very good. Of course, in future seasons, approaches to Ubers change a little bit. Some things, though, have remained the same almost timelessly, like Bale's Cold Nova and his lower res. If you get Conviction and lower res on you, that's negative 125 resistances, unless you have an insane stack on your res, which will probably sacrifice a lot of your damage, health, and DR. You can die instantly to that, so be very wary of attracting that, and you'll be good to go. Of course, there's lots of alternative gear you can use. You know, Shaft Stop is very good. You know, Crown of Ages. You know, there's a lot of things that you could use, but in general, I kind of went over a lot of principles and why I used what I did to fight the Ubers. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Dark Humility over and out. Go crush it, PD2 fans. Let's smash it. Alright, so that's the end of the recording for that. Oh yeah, fuck. I forgot to ID the torch. Oh, fuck. Well, in that case, I'm gonna have to get the VOD now. Damn. Okay, so for the video, it's not totally done. I'll do the torch now. Oh shit, I forgot. Oh my god, the dream! Oh, the dream. Oh, we got it. Oh, that's huge. Oh, that's insane. Wow. Look at that. Assassin torch. Nice stats. It's gonna lower my HP a little bit, but I mean 30 HP for... Oh yeah. Let's see here. Oh yeah, look at that. 16k damage now. That's beastly. A dream. Also the res is like insane, honestly. Wow. We actually got the torch we wanted. Well, now I'm gonna have to... Yeah, I'm gonna have to chop out the VOD now. I'm gonna have to cut the VOD out so that we make sure we have the torch ID in there. But now... Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and honestly, nice RNG. We got the assassin torch that I need for this build. Very good. I think it's gonna be tough to beat that one, if I'm being honest. That's really high stats across the board. 50 plus Vita, 19 res. Damn. Sick. And then the druid one, well, we do plan on making a druid, so we'll use that later.